Hello, we are at the top of the hour and welcome everyone to the Secure Passage webinar on Truman. Truman is physical detection and response, and we look forward to introducing you to Truman today. A quick story. About a month ago, we were in Las Vegas for the all-important in physical security ISC West trade show. And at the trade show this year, there were 300 products that were entered into an awards competition by many vendors that were in attendance, over 700 vendors at the show. And 30 judges were going through those 300 entries to come up with a list that they wanted to showcase to the attendees of ISC West, new and powerful tools that can increase the posture of physical security for corporations, governments, et cetera. The Truman Physical Detection and Response Platform was submitted as a contestant in the awards at ISC West. It was revolutionary to that group of judges. I know we have a few revolutionaries on the call here today. Jeremy Hale, Matt Skeen, you know what revolutionizing is all about in the security industry. But when we were there with these judges, they were trying to get their head around for physical security what we're doing with physical detection and response. We were very pleased that of 33 award categories that they made for the ISC West Awards this year, Truman actually won an award. However, the judges had a very hard time finding a category for it. We picked up an award in the environmental category because we were connecting up a OT device for environmental sensing with a security camera, for example. And the judges were very pleased by what they saw with this revolutionary platform. We're looking forward to showing it to you today and also showing you how we are making new strides, pioneering in physical security to bring together all of your tools designed to keep you ahead of threats. It is a cutting edge system that does harness the power of AI. I know that's buzzworthy these days, but AI-driven analytics is a part of our world now, and we definitely use that with the Truman system. Continuously monitoring and interpreting your data from throughout the network of security devices that you have in your footprint, in your ecosystem. Today we have with us Andy Jones. Andy Jones is a principal solutions engineer here, but also directs the implementations of Truman PDR. And he will walk through the platform with us today. My name is Kirk Cerny. I'm president of Secure Passage, and we invite you to go to securepassage.com for more information on our products and services today after the webinar. With that, I'm going to throw it over to Andy. Andy, thank you so much for joining us today from our Executive Briefing Center here in Kansas City, where we have a Global Security Operations Center demonstration area, which is right behind you, right, Andy?
That's correct. Yep. Here at our new operations center, we're very proud of this space, and we would like to invite you here to learn more about our operation. So first of all, I just want to say good morning, everyone, and thank you for taking the time this morning to take a look at our revolutionary physical detection and response tool. And I'm going to get right into it and talk about what is physical detection and response, and what do we mean when we say that. So really quickly, I do want to touch on our history a bit. Our company was founded by Gary Fish, who really has decades of leadership within security. Some of the folks on the call know Gary, some of them may not. And, Gary really has been a visionary in security, notably cybersecurity. Many companies under his realm have been formed and are now leaders within that space. It's a little known fact that he also has about 25 years experience plus in physical security as well. And, from within that journey, he's learned that physical security maybe has some gaps, and really it's time for that sort of digital revolution, that catch up to sort of cybersecurity and some of the protocols and things that they're doing. So we're very proud of that history and that legacy, and we believe that this tool is really going to continue that. So really quick here at Secure Passage, I'm just going to boil this slide down really quick. Our mission really here is to protect what counts. And what counts to us is the human, right? I mean, all of these security devices are designed to protect what is the most important to us. And to us, that boils down to our workforce, our family, the human element. And that's really what we want to protect. So I'm just going to get right to it and show you what is physical detection and response. What is Truman? Right here, we have a quick video clip, and it's showing a person having a medical event in a hallway, in a corridor space. There's no other individuals around. He's in this space by himself. And unfortunately, he suffered some sort of medical event. There could be a gap in time before anybody happens to walk up on this individual and aid and offer some help. We know within our organizations, we have hundreds of sensors and cameras that are going to catch this event. But right now, we may not be getting those alerts. We may not be finding out, what's happening within this space. What our system does is it really takes all of those input sources from any sensor within those zones, and it looks at those constantly. And if an anomaly is found, it quickly converts that data into a data log format, sends it up through AI, analyzes it, can grab a quick 10-second video clip, look and see what's happening to the event, and then alert based off of that action. From there, once the alert is triggered, there can be automation, remediation, and steps taken after that. If you're looking on my screen here, you can quickly see down there at the bottom, there's some raw logs. And that's really what we're sending to Truman and what we're analyzing. We're doing this in seconds, by the way. Within that list down there, you can see, it shows this as a high severity event. There's 0 potentially dangerous objects. It shows there's an adult male in a red shirt. He's lying on the floor. It's also picked up that he has collapsed. So from here, our system has deemed that this is a critical alert. It has notified the correct authorities or whoever we deem needs to get that alert if there's a medical event. In this particular case, we have a person on staff who's trained in EMS and who has access to an AED. That person was notified immediately. He's able to get that push notification or that SMS right on his device. He can quickly review that 10-second video clip. He can get the location and respond right to that location. I'm going to get into a quick example there of how we're doing it and why we're doing this. So really, there's been some trends within the physical security industry, and there is a modernization of a push for modernization of physical security. I spoke about that a little bit already, but a lot of organizations are finding that they really need to shift these systems to the cloud. These are hybrid systems, though. All this hardware is on-prem. But as we know, and as we've learned from the cybersecurity industry, storing data and things on-premise can be cumbersome. Obviously, AI, that's that new buzzword that Kirk spoke about, right? Everybody wants integration and implementation of AI systems. Data privacy and cybersecurity is really leading all the talks in the physical security industry. All of these devices are now on our network. They're now communicating and sending logs and sending data to who knows where. And so those devices now need to meet those stringent data privacy and cybersecurity protocols. And there's a push in the physical security industry for convergence. Really, what's happening within physical security is there's a ton of disparate systems that don't communicate well together. You've got your camera system, you've got your access control system, you've got your burg alarm, you've got other various OT sensors throughout your spaces monitoring various things, and none of those devices work together. Even with all of those devices, what we found as security integrators is we're really creating a data overload problem. All of these alerts are going to the security practitioners, and they're just missing alerts. 73% of security practitioners have say that they've missed or ignored a high priority alert that they wish they would have seen. The reason why they're missing this, guys, is because it's too much. They're getting too many alerts right now. The other issue is that we're finding is that, organizations are quick. If they have an issue, they're like, well, let's add another camera. Let's add another security guard. Let's add another physical security device. And although that has sort of worked in the past. It's really a Band-Aid approach because now all of a sudden we've got 150 cameras and it's impossible to view all those cameras at all times. So what ends up happening is those camera systems become secondary. The event has to happen, and then the person who knows how to work the camera system has to go back, comb through the footage, download it to a drive. It becomes a really cumbersome process. So again, with Truman, with PDR, we believe that we're able to bubble up those alerts to the top that really matter. That way you can focus on those events as they're happening, potentially preventing or mitigating events before they amplify into something larger. This is a quick explanation of a low severity alert as well. We also are trying to reduce the noise of those alerts, a lot of those false positives, a lot of those alerts that are coming through that really don't matter, that sort of lead to 73% of security professionals missing those alerts. This happens to be a clip of two individuals working in our EBC space, which I'm sitting in right now after hours. And our system was able to be alerted that there's motion, there is noise happening, the camera analytics picked up movement and people moving. We were able to correlate all of that data, and our AI quickly summarized that this appears to be construction workers. They appear to have valid access into the space. This alert is actually low severity. We don't need to bug you and wake you up in the middle of the night because this is going on. We've set those parameters within there. We'll get to that once we get into the tool. So first of all, I'd like to talk about how the security industry is, physical security industry is really poised to bring this modernization effort to market. This really brings new opportunities for solutions integrators who are already providing security cameras and security systems to their clients. The system integrators are the experts on those traditional systems. IoT cloud solutions are being adopted. So we're already used to shifting these physical security systems to the cloud. There is an industry shift to those cloud products and that security first architecture. So as solutions integrators, we are already learning how to properly help these organizations ensure that these devices meet those minimum standards. Again, many businesses are struggling with outdated physical security systems, and it's really lacking integration. And so really the entire security industry, cyber and physical, has, fragmented industry standards, and there really is a lack of interoperability between those systems. So, a lot of my cybersecurity audience right now, you might want to just ignore this part or make fun of me later after for kind of bringing this bringing this down. But I'm just going to quickly summarize why we're doing what we're doing and taking sort of a cybersecurity approach to how we handle physical security alerts. Within cybersecurity, we are, you know, essentially doing threat detections in an automated way. In cybersecurity, we are now taking all of the alerts and all of our sensors that are within our space that's monitoring our networks and our devices, our endpoints, and the things that matter to our organization. We're funneling all of those event logs and those data logs to many different places, and those logs are being scrutinized and looked at in almost real time. That way we can mitigate threats almost instantly before a threat actor can turn this into, a hostile takeover or something of your cybersecurity footprint. We do this with SIEM, EDR, XDR, and MDR. Really quickly, I'm not going to go through what each of these tools are, but just a brief overload. So a SIEM really is that single location whereby all of these logs are going to be funneled into, and really has standby analysts who are reviewing those logs and making sure that everything is on the up and up. If an alert comes through, the analyst may quickly look at that alert and try to determine if it's a false positive and close that out, or determine if it's an actual security event. And then from there, they'll bubble that up and follow their playbook to potentially remediate that cybersecurity event. EDR, XDR, again, and MDR is another tool set that's utilized within cybersecurity. Think of this as MDR potentially as your antivirus software, sort of on your computer that's sort of monitoring your employees' workforce and endpoints to make sure there's no malicious software on there. From there, all of that data is sort of correlated and then sent there from the cloud or to other SIMs or to other places, and then that's looked at, analyzed, and can be determined if there's an issue that needs to be remediated. There is a shift in cybersecurity, sort of move away from kind of that old model of shifting this to a location where you have human security analysts looking at all of these logs. Now, many tool sets are utilizing AI and able to determine if they can automatically remediate those threats and close some of those false positives. And if a human needs to be activated from there, that human can be activated. So that's what we're doing with physical security, guys. We're looking at physical detection and response. This is physical security evolved, and that's what Truman is. This is just a quick article from the Campus Safety Magazine where, they're saying physical security systems are no longer just tools for safeguarding students, staffs, and visitors. These systems are collecting vast amounts of data, and all these other connected devices in this space allow you to analyze that collected data and make a better informed decision that can enhance the security, it can enhance budgets, it can enhance their on-campus experience. So what is PDR? What is physical detection and response? So, in layman's terms, we like to think of physical detection and response as a security team that's working together to protect your organization. It's really like a group of guards at every entrance, kind of watching for different threats. Truman then brings that data from all of those different events and digital security systems, helping them work together and quickly respond. And, it's much like MDR, EDR within cybersecurity, which involves integrating those physical security measures from access control systems, surveillance cameras, perimeter protection devices, and really give you a comprehensive defense against threat. And again, PDR combines data from all systems, so not just physical security devices. We're able to take digital inputs from any type of sensor, anything that puts out a log. This is including those cybersecurity tools, MDR tools, network devices, identity management platforms, and we're able to kind of correlate all of those events into actions that we can create workflows off of. And once I start demoing the tool, I'll get into that a little bit, a little deeper here. So really, what is the problem here? There's a data overload for our end users. They were getting so many alerts. They have too many siloed systems. If they do have access to the system, maybe they don't know how to use it. They have to find the guy who knows how to work the access control system, who can get into the logs and see what's happening. So that's those system silos and that alert fatigue. From there, it's a manual process. There's no automated workflows. They have to manually check everything, which really provides a lack of context. And furthermore, there's a lack of resources who can really take and look at those physical security issues. This is going to lead to those missed threats and that delayed response or ineffective investigations. Also, there's a people problem in our industry. There's just not enough folks out there actually watching these devices. There's not enough security guards. There's not enough people analyzing this data. And, so the ones that we have are burned out. They're not really looking at those alerts, and they're missing those things that are important to the organization. So again, I'm going to quickly talk about our approach. Our system is vendor agnostic. We do have direct integrations with a lot of the leading industry players, but again, we're speaking a language that allows us to bring in any sort of data source. So if your device has syslog, if your device has an API or webhook, or has any sort of data format that it outputs, we're able to quickly bring that into our system and then start utilizing those data points to form correlations. From there, we do have a way to reduce some of that noise within those logs. Those of us coming from cybersecurity understand that if we send every log from every device, there's a lot of information in that log that just doesn't matter. It's sort of garbage. So what we can do is on premise, we can quickly filter out the data that matters, send that to our system, and use that for correlations. This is going to reduce the cost of sending that data, right? Because it costs a lot of money to send a lot of data to the cloud and back. From there, we used, scenario-based threat detections. These are unique detections that are important to the business. You are able to custom tailor those specific to your environment. And once I get into the tool, I'll talk about that in great detail. But, really the key is once we funnel all of this filtered data in, once an action is triggered, we're able to quickly correlate those events and then utilize AI to summarize what's happening and to give you an alert that actually matters, that makes sense, and allows you to respond and remediate as you see fit. There also is a quick immediate value to just simply adding your location because we also are utilizing OSINT and other news feeds, local assessments, and things like that based off of your location. So our system can be location based. If you have multiple locations, we can do this with multiple locations. And again, we also funnel in all of your devices that are on-prem. We're able to quickly filter that data and send that up to our system. We can integrate in your traditional cybersecurity model and sort of expand this tool, sending data to SIMs, or if you have a monitored operation center for your physical security devices, we can enhance those tools as well and enhance those folks. So this is where I'm going to jump out of the PowerPoint here. I can talk about the configuration stuff in the tool, so bear with me one second while I flip over to the tool. So I'm just going to get right to the meat and potatoes of what our system does. I'll get back to the dashboard and all of the other events, but I just want to show you our tool in action. I'm going to start with that medical event or something similar that I talked about earlier. I'm going to play a quick little video clip here. And unfortunately, one of our workforce members has collapsed in our upstairs hallway. And what's happening here is there's a man in the background who's kind of shouting, help, JD needs some help. And unfortunately, we have a man on the floor who seems to be in distress. So this event happened, and what's in this space is there's quite a few sensors that we call this a zone. And so within this zone, you can see there's a badge reader on the wall. So we have a door, we have access there with the elevator. There's also a couple cameras in this space with built-in edge analytics. And there is a sensor called a halo sensor, which has 16 sensors in one, but it has microphones, and so it can tell if somebody's shouting for help. It can tell if there's an aggression event or gunshot, things of that nature. So as soon as the man collapsed, the analytics in the camera picked up a collapsing individual, and there was shouting and commotion in the room. So our halo sensor immediately triggered a help event. And what happens as soon as that event comes through is the raw logs are quickly sent to Truman, and a JSON summary is created by AI. What was sent is essentially this data here. You can see there were objects quickly analyzed. There's an elevator, a floor, there's some chairs. It's in a hallway. It's near an elevator. It shows there's 0 potentially dangerous objects. There's a man lying down who has collapsed. There's a possible injury. It's an adult male. So all of this data, including that 10-second video clip, are quickly ran through our AI, and an interpretation is done. The interpretation is a person is lying on the floor, possibly collapsed or severely injured. This constitutes a potential emergency situation. Now, once this is interpreted, Truman has defined this as a critical event because we've set that detection within our tool, and it's tricked off the automation. From there, that critical event was triggered to the medical staff. The medical staff got the SMS text, and the person with an AED and who's medically trained is able to go straight to this individual and aid in the medical issue. So again, I'm going to go back to another critical detection. which is this one here, and play this video clip for you really quick. What you have here is we have the same space. There's multiple sensors and multiple devices within this space. These men are shouting at each other, and this gentleman then runs up the stairs and brandishes a weapon. Really quickly, our system was able to pull out the key details from that video clip and from the halo sensor within that space. It pulled out that there was a person, a male in a yellow shirt. There's potentially a dangerous object. So that one was key. It does resemble a handgun. It was able to pick up that it was orange. It was held in his right hand, pointed forward. It even was able to tell that it was plastic. He was posing on the lobby by the stairs. Our AI then quickly summarizes this clip. Um, it says an individual is identified raising a weapon-like object. The object appears to be a toy gun based on color. The threat level is considered low due to the perceived nature of the weapon. Further investigation is required to confirm the object. Now, this is interesting, though, because we've told Truman that if there is a potentially dangerous object, that's a critical alert. AI was able to look at this and say, you know, this may be a Nerf gun, but we still kicked off that critical alert. Our security teams were instantly notified. They were instantly sent the location and the clip of this incident here. So then we're able to we can automate after that. We can lock down parts of the building. We're integrated with the access control. We can identify potentially who's in the space, how many people are in the space, things of that nature. And again, that's why we will look at the color and the plastic and the fact that it was a toy gun, but this could be a taser. This could be a painted weapon of some kind. So definitely still a critical event for us. So I'm going to get into how we do it, and then I'm going to go through the tool sort of in order and show you the features. First of all, I'm going to talk about how we're bringing the data in. Let's get the data into the system. Let's get in between that data, and then from there, we can start working on those actions and workflows. We have a tool called Dragon. Dragon is our log forwarder. That's that centralized device. It's a single binary that runs on a server. It can run locally in your environment. It's so small, it can run on a Raspberry Pi. We actually have it running on a Raspberry Pi here. We put this device on your network, and from there, you can immediately start adding sources. There's two ways to quickly add sources. I'm going to go through it really quickly. From there, we can add a generic source. So if it's syslog TCP, if it's a physical security device that speaks MQTT, we can quickly connect to those. I'm just going to click on TCP really quick. These are extremely easy to set up: host name, port. And if you're not sure on that, we do have very clear documentation on how to set those up. But from there, data immediately starts flowing into our Dragon connector, and we're off to the races. I'm going to click on the Devices tab down here. These are some of the devices that we have connected here at our headquarters. But this is another way we can quickly do an in-map discovery of the subnets that have these devices on them. So think of this as the network subnet that maybe has all your cameras on it. We can quickly scan that subnet, find out how many devices there are, put them in a list format. From there, we can quickly click on that device, add it as a supported source or add it as a syslog source, and go from there. So now that we've got the devices in, we're able to kind of create those workflows and those actions. I'm bouncing around a bit here in the tool, but I'm doing that on purpose. I'm going to go to the dashboard here. And this is completely customizable, easy to move around, and so right now we have it laid out in a way that's kind of showing us our latest detections down here. We can move that up here. If we want, we can see the latest clips and the things that Truman has detected. We are closely monitoring logs as well, because as I mentioned, sending data from premise to cloud can cost a significant amount of money. And in a future release, we're going to actually be able to correlate these events with the workflows and the logs that were sent to Truman for analyzation. We are location-based here, so we can quickly show where we are at on the map. We can drop over a GIS layer, and show real-time threats, whether it be a traffic alert, a weather alert. Maybe we can get CAD feeds from local law enforcement to find out if there's an event or a fire or something happening near our location. And we can geofence our location, and from there, that can be turned into an action that Truman can alert on. It's important to point out that any data that comes into Truman is an actionable item within your workflow. So Truman is always looking at all data at this point. We can drill down into our various locations and really show, a quick summary. We actually have 3 buildings on our campus that we are in charge of here. And so this is a good way to kind of break it out by location. And I'll get to why this is important in a minute, but this would be that quick place where we could drop in a blueprint, we could drop in a Google Maps aerial view. We've gone a step further here, and we've actually done some 3D mapping of one of our locations. Think of this as a useful tool for maybe responding elements, fire department, an ambulance service, maybe a police department who hasn't been inside of your space. This is going to give them the ability to kind of quickly see what the space is. We can quickly get measurements of a room. We can even, remove the furniture and really see the size of a space. And I always kind of show this as well. Here we can see a camera mounted on the sidewall. It's a dome camera. I hate it when they mount dome cameras on sidewalls. But anyway, we can quickly hold our mouse over that. In a future release here, we're going to have the ability to kind of see what's going on with where all the physical sensors are in this space and what data they're putting out, including quick links to the feeds of the cameras and things of that nature. So kind of a neat little feature set there. The latest detections are really going to show us that view of, right now I have it filtered to show everything, so it's showing our low severity events. We'll have the critical events able to put up here, and you'll be able to see them quickly. Live events, this is really just the telemetry that's coming in, and so we can monitor and see the telemetry coming in. This is a quick OSINT feeds and things that we're getting off of those OSINT sources that are really giving us a view of what's happening near and around our space. This is just kind of give us a quick telemetry and up-down status of devices. There's some widgets here for some of the devices that we have within our spaces. And then another widget here that's for a gate controller that we're controlling with MQTT that kind of monitors our front gate. The event log, again, this is telemetry. This is syslog data. So, this is giving us the ability to really drill down in each of those tools and platforms and figure out what they're doing. And so, we can search through that last event data coming through the last 24 hours, and we can even search that log data. And I can quickly show, here's a good example. There's a license plate reader out front of our campus. And if we quickly want to run and see what the last license plate that was ran in front, this is the logs that Truman is analyzing. And so Truman can quickly grab from this, here's the ID of the car right here. There's the license plate. Right here's the vehicle color, which in this case, for some reason, it didn't grab the vehicle color, but it's a Kansas license plate. So all of this data, again, quickly analyzed, pulled into our system. The detections and the rules, this is really where we are storing those sort of canned detections, the ones that are sort of included with the security devices that you already have in your spaces. So you can see there's lots of events here that really are the actions that are triggering what happens. So essentially, if there is a temperature event, we can write that workflow and say what's going to happen if the server room temperature gets to 85 degrees. Who do I need to notify before the server starts shutting down? We can dispatch those facility teams. We can dispatch the HVAC teams. We can quickly analyze the space and maybe see what's causing the issue with the AI and the cameras. So the incidents tab here, this is really what those automated actions are from within the tool. And quickly here we can see that there's a quick video clip here, and this entrance, this video was identified as an actionable incident, and this is really the reporting portion of it. So if you wanted to go back in after the event happened, after you got this medium severity alert, we can really drill down here and see why this was triggered and what the workflow was, and then what that action was. Here is the workflow, by the way. Truman initially ran a diagnostic test in this area, for example, in this zone. All the networks seemed to be working, but there was a failed validation in this case. So, again, Truman left this as a event that needs review, and it's going to let you know there might be an issue with one of the workflows. Quickly, I'll get into the workflows. So actions here, this is really those triggers for the workflows. So let's say you want to know if a person collapses in your upstairs hallway. The action would be driven from, say, in that case, the analytics of our camera can tell if somebody's collapsed. So if we see that that person has collapsed, we'll then utilize that as an action, and we'll create a workflow based off of that action. Quickly here, we can see, this is a time-based workflow. We want it to send a notification. We can change the order of these, of course. We can add that action from the list, and maybe we want it to grab a video clip. So my first action would be, if a person collapses, grab a video clip of that space, quickly analyze that, tell me what's going on. We can also use this for automatic remediation. So I realize in physical security, many of the alerts that are going to be coming through are not necessarily events that can be automatically remediated. A lot of those events need to be reviewed and responded to. But there are cases in physical security whereby false positives are happening. A great example of this is access control systems. They're very noisy with their alerts, especially for door held events and things of that nature. And most of the times, door held events are false positives. So what Truman can quickly do with those is analyze them by utilizing multiple sensors in the space. The access control system is going to send an alert in real time to Truman that says there's a door held event happening. Truman can then quickly run a 10-second clip against the camera that's pointed at that door, and it'll see that there's a box propping the door open. That is a legitimate door held event. So from there, we can automate, okay, send a message to the security team, let them know that one of our critical doors is propped open. In the same breath, Truman may be able to look at that camera and see that Andy Jones is holding the door open and he's standing there talking to another individual. Truman can then look back at the access control logs and see that Andy used his credential to open that door. Andy's standing there holding the door, having a conversation, and then the conversation ends. He's closed the door. The door is no longer held. There's no reason to notify anybody of that event. That event can be automatically remediated and closed. Therefore, we're reducing those false positive alerts that our security teams are burdened down with. Physical layout, this is really just a nested description of your spaces. This is kind of how we create those zones. So if you remember in that video clip, I showed you the hallway was a zone. The hallway had the access control system. It has a halo sensor. It has multiple cameras with analytics. It has sensors on the elevator. It has motion sensors from the burglar alarm system. From here, we really create that building level nested of, this is the building name, this is the first floor, this is the rooms within that, and then these are the zones that are within that. Our future release here actually is going to have that map view. So you'll be able to click on your zone, and you may be able to say, click on the conference room. And within the conference room, you'll be able to see all of the physical security devices which are in that room, and kind of bringing that zone into all of those areas. I did go over the devices tab, but again, this is going to kind of give us that quick up down status, that ping status, make sure we have a good connection and good communication. You can quickly add and delete devices here that you do or no longer want within the system. And of course, we do have that discovery tool that's going to find these devices and bring them in for you. So data source, again, this is our Dragon tool that connects to these devices. And so I really want to reiterate the fact that it doesn't matter what type of device it is. If it's on the network and it has logs, we're able to bring those devices in, utilize that data, and correlate actions based off of that data. It doesn't have to be a physical security device. We can bring in environmental sensors, OT devices. Think of a manufacturing facility that maybe has a conveyor belt system. And if one of the conveyor belts stops, that means that the product moving through that manufacturing facility has also stopped. And this is ultimately going to cost your client's business. You know, with Truman, we can quickly look at those sensors that are on that conveyor belt. We have cameras with analytics built in that are watching the temperature of the motor. If the motor reaches a certain heat threshold, an alert can be triggered. You know, so we can kind of look at all of these various devices and then create an action that says, hey, the motor's getting hot on the conveyor belt. Let's notify somebody before the flow of our manufacturing plant stops. So this does go past physical security. This is where the real power is going to come in, is with digital identities. And so I'm going to show you current state. I'm going to talk a little bit about future state of what this is. So right now, you know, we're just kind of doing some dark web monitoring. We do have a direct integration with Spy Cloud, Data Miner, and a few other providers. And what we're doing is, you know, this is really kind of for that leadership protection portion. We're able to take the individual's information, run it across the dark web, and obviously see if there was any data leakage where maybe some of their personal information was utilized in the dark web or utilized in a fashion that could be dangerous to them. We're also able to quickly kind of take those leadership teams and run them across Data Miner, see if there's any, you know, social media threats against them, against their family, against their company. And again, those become actions that we're able to create workflows, analyze with AI, and kind of bubble the important alerts up to the top. Of course, we can do your standard reports off of this thing and that. Really, the vision with this, though, is creating that digital identity of who the person is. And so I like to give the example of me coming to work in the morning. We have a license plate reader out front, which I've already shown. As soon as I pull up, the license plate reader sees my license plate and the front gate automatically opens. The license plate reader has also grabbed the make and model of my truck, and within my digital identity, Truman knows my license plate. It knows the make and model of my truck. As soon as I drive into the parking lot, we've integrated with our networking system, and my phone connects to the Wi-Fi. Truman's learned the MAC address of my phone and sees that I've connected to Wi-Fi. I hop out of my truck, I come to the front door, and I present my credential at the front door. It's a valid credential. The front door opens. Truman is tied in with our access control system and sees that Andy's valid credential has been badged at the front door. And then I walk in the front door. I have a camera with analytics that quickly reads my face, and it knows that that's Andy Jones. So before I barely got in the space, I've got 4 factors of authentication within Truman that Andy Jones is in the lobby. He's in this space. So for leadership protection and for automation flow, the possibilities there are endless. Maybe I give Andy access to certain parts of the building. Maybe I give Andy access to certain parts of the network or certain secure areas, certain files, things of that nature. Let's say, for example, though, that morning I decide to take our President Kirk's car to work. If I'm driving in and our license plate reader is going to see Kirk's license plate and it's going to log a factor, the gate's going to open, it's going to see the make model of his car. I'm going to get in the parking lot and jump out, and my phone's going to connect to Wi-Fi. It doesn't necessarily see Kirk's phone connecting. I go to the front door, and maybe Kirk left his badge on the front seat that morning, which is a policy violation, but I didn't have my badge anyway, so I grab his, and I badge at the front door. It's a valid credential. And so the front door opens. And as soon as I walk in, the camera sees my face. It never sees Kirk on the premises. So there's a couple of anomalies there, right? And so with those actions, again, we can trigger a workflow that says, maybe we block Andy and Kirk from those high secure areas. Maybe we block them from the network until a security practitioner or an IT individual can review and see what's going on here. So that's just one quick example of how we're utilizing our tool. So again, that's kind of the quick overview of Truman and what our tool is doing. And we have a lot of stuff in store for the future as well. We're constantly building with integrations and enhancing our AI detections. From there, I will quickly summarize the final bits of the slide and then turn it back over to Kirk. So again, I think the biggest takeaway here is that we do offer those quick AI-powered detections and enhancements based from all of your security devices. We aren't the only AI working in the system, though. I do want to point this out. If you have existing cameras or video management systems that have AI tools and analytics built in, Truman utilizes that data as well and then correlates all of that data with all of the various sensors and devices within your space. Again, adding Truman, we try to make this as simple as possible. We play nice with any device. If there's logs, an API, or it speaks a common protocol within our industry, we are able to immediately grab data from it and get you those actionable insights. So really, in summary today, I want to thank you guys for your time. I'll turn it over to Kirk here in a second, but I did want to point out that system integrators, we play a vital role in helping our clients shift from, on-prem to the cloud, also helping this industry push of getting those devices secured from a cybersecurity standpoint, and then bridging that gap between all of those individual silos, creating real convergence within your organization. And Truman PDR is the tool right at the center of that really can optimize that data from all of these various complex systems, combining those logs in a cost-effective solution that's really going to bubble up those alerts to the top that actually matter to your organizations. If an alert comes from Truman, it's not an alert that you're going to ignore. It's not going to be that noise of endless, useless alerts. So again, thank you for your time, and Kirk, I'll turn it back over to you.
Thank you very much, Andy. One of the use cases that you were talking about, that face badge mismatch, in conversations with practitioners in various ecosystems, both corporate and education, we've had good conversation about the governance, risk, and compliance angles of the business that would like to know the number of face badge mismatch events, tailgating events, things of that nature that the correlation of security controls could help solve or help at least report on. So different areas of the security practice or governance, risk, and compliance can move the needle in a positive way on different use cases. Additionally, when we talk about use cases that would be genuinely out of the box that practitioners really want to lean into, you can see the value of this platform for multiple location security. You're unifying your tools from, let's say you're a super regional bank and you've got your HQ with a beautiful skyscraper, but you've got 60 locations. Understanding what you're bringing together from a physical data perspective in those multiple locations to prioritize alerts and associate that data with use cases like Andy was talking about, a camera that might be degraded at this particular time. It just needs a firmware update. This will streamline the workflow in such a way that you may not have to send a team out to go up a ladder to check on that camera, for example. That might be something that you can troubleshoot from the HQ. Regardless, you will get that visibility, that security on a single device, bring everything into one place. It doesn't matter if you're on the move or if you're at your desktop or in your emergency operations center or security operations center. you can have that quick overview of your multiple locations all in one spot for instant action, as Andy was saying. The other thing that we're seeing a lot of in the workplace is a desire to understand human behavior, and in particular, aggression. Throughout the last few years, there's been a little bit of a trend toward antisocial behavior. Some of that has to do with locking down people for a couple of years, but regardless, there is just a little more chaos in the space. And so leveraging that halo sensor that Andy was talking about for a medical event, help emergency, it's also an aggression sensor with detection capability that allows for aggressive behavior to be surfaced up and summon alerts to the Truman platform. AI will ingest that alert and inform just as it does in other use cases, and then again automate action. Customers and prospects have been saying, that could be really good in our HR rooms where, from time to time we offboard someone, for example, or in a retail location that might have aggressive customers, things of that nature, or use cases that may surface up, whether it's an employee or a visitor, a vendor, a contractor, potentially malicious or negligent behavior. With all of Truman, what we are talking about is simplifying physical security because it can be very complex. We used to say, Andy, didn't we? Physical security was guards, guns, and fences. It really doesn't matter what it is today. Any security tool or technology that generates a log actively contributes to your security posture, or it should, right? There's a wealth of security data in most environments that is going unused. One of our missions is to make sure that you're making that data useful step by step. And it's not going to happen overnight. One thing that will happen overnight is the ability to add those sources to the platform, your sources, start seeing visibility right away. But as you crawl, walk, and run to different capabilities and different detections, you'll be marrying up not just two controls, but maybe three, four, or five, as Andy was saying. And it will get your security posture to a better position. And in particular, for the guards, guns, and fences, you might have an Optimus guard not too far down the road. Holsters have sensors these days, so it can even detect a gun being drawn, for example, of one of your personnel. And then in addition, fences. Today, whether you're running a physical fence, an electronic fence, or drones around a perimeter, you have logs that are being generated from all of those tools. So regardless of how we view physical security traditionally, it has become a digital game and a very complex game at that. When you think about the controls at an airport, the controls around a university campus or multi-sites, the controls in hospitals and other locations that are critical infrastructure, utilities, et cetera. Tying together these controls makes a lot of sense, and Truman's here to do that for you. We're
Hey,
grateful. Yes, and
we do have a few questions, and first of all, the first question here, this is a good one. It says, this sounds like Truman is a SIM for physical security. Is it?
well, I'll take a first pass at that. I mentioned at the top of the call that it's a revolutionary product. The judges in Las Vegas didn't know what category to put us in. They didn't have a physical detection and response category. I predict they will by next year. But we could be categorized potentially as a physical SIM. We could be categorized, as an environmental control, as I mentioned earlier. We avoid being categorized as a physical SIM. Physical SIMs within physical security have a distinct role. Oftentimes, it is control of different operations, elevators, HVAC, things of that nature, right? You get a picture of what's happening on your physical plant, for example, and then you can automate different controls from that physical SIM. SIMs also have a bad reputation of needing all of the data, all of the traffic, and have that available to be analyzed at any given moment. We like to, as you see today, to summarize raw logs and pull what is necessary from an alert perspective or that alert traffic to generate what we need to get done from both a data gathering and action perspective to provide that response. So it's not really a SIM. If I were to categorize it, and Andy, you might push back on me here, it would be more like an XDR, as you mentioned earlier in the call. Andy?
Yeah, and so I agree with you wholeheartedly, but I'm gonna say yes and no, and I'm gonna say why. We're really an enhancement tool. This is along the same lines of, are you replacing security guards? Are you replacing the human? And I would say we're really enhancing the SIM. We're really enhancing the security guard. What if you're an organization that doesn't have a SIM and doesn't have a security guard? We're enhancing your alerts and your physical posture by bringing and bubbling up those alerts. So we can send this data to a SIM. If a SIM is in your workflow and you're used to sending logs to a SIM and you have actionable security analysts who are actively watching those, we support that model. We bring that physical data into those SIMs and really give that 24/7 view you're looking for to them. But same if you do have security staff or security guards on staff. Rather than replacing or adding another security guard, Truman can be utilized to bubble up those alerts and those significant events that actually matter most and enable your security guard to get that alert. But not only, if you have a SOC, great. We're enhancing your global operations center because I could have all 130 cameras on this screen behind me. There's no way I'm going to be able to watch those 130 cameras, right? But with Truman, I can. I can enable the security analyst sitting at that desk because when something interesting happens on one of those 130 cameras, we integrate directly with the management platform that he's already looking at. So the camera pops up on the screen. Truman sends that alert on the screen and it says, check out what just happened in the upstairs hallway. A man has collapsed. So we're enabling that security guard to actually get an alert that matters. So we are an enhancement to those type of tools, in my opinion.
Thank you, Andy. And as you mentioned, platforms, it's not just the security tools, but oftentimes they're coming with their own platforms. Those platforms, UIs, et cetera, are giving you a view in one screen, in one dimension, right? You might have 8 of those running. I know that people, especially in cybersecurity, are allergic to the term single pane of glass. But it does make sense to be able to centralize your information such that you can work against different problems. So there is correlation there to the idea of what a security incident and event management platform does, a SIM does. But we are carving and forging new territory as we approach this just a little bit differently than the traditional SIM, which in cybersecurity is what, Andy, 25 years in the making and has evolved tremendously on the digital security side as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I think we've got a few more questions that we can buzz through really quick. The cloud backend for Truman is built on GCP. And what kind of companies need Truman the most? Kirk, I'm going to punt that one to you. What kind of, you talked about banking. I know you mentioned, the corporation that has the great view, but maybe has 60 other branches. What about small business? What about medium business? Who are we helping with this tool?
Well, if you talk about small business in particular, you're usually talking about individuals that have, number one, a small but mighty team, a lean outfit that won't particularly have a director of security or someone of that nature that is their singular remit. We're talking about a person that's wearing a lot of hats, an entrepreneur, an S corp type individual that might have a dozen car washes or a dozen laundromats or other kinds of what we consider small businesses that often will have cameras or other security controls, but there isn't a good way to see it all at once. If I had a dozen car washes with those cameras, I would be curious if there were malicious activities taking place that could be detected by AI, something that could tell me, hey, yeah, there's a person there, but it's a person washing their car. I don't need that alert. That's noise. But if there's a person there that AI sees as trying to pry open my coin machine, well, that's going to make a difference, right? So it can be small business of an organization that might have multiple locations or one huge distribution center, for example. Bringing together in a logistics or a manufacturing facility all of your controls, which again, oftentimes, as you said at the top of the meeting, Andy, someone says, we need security, buy cameras. Well,
Yeah.
go ahead, Andy. Yeah.
Yeah, so we had a great question come in from an individual who praises us. It's wise to resist categorization. It says we need to push into the education curve, and our IoT readiness is a gap solution in that industry, but industry struggles to address it. Can you talk a little bit about how we are helping the education K through 12 right now, some of our other tool sets, and how that overlaps into Truman and what we're trying to, our mission really with the education area.
Yeah, thank you for that pedigree. I've got 25 years of background in education, and our company has been serving the education space for the last 15 years, in particular for physical assessments and collecting a large number of physical assessments at any given time. In fact, our team just completed 3,628 physical assessments for the state of Florida, all of their schools here just this last month. With respect to our posture and position in education, we have learned over those years the types of controls that they're using, cameras, access control, license plate readers in schools, et cetera. But enhancing that technology, as Andy was saying, bringing everything together and making it better because it's working together. That's an important element of our work in education. But Truman is going to be very powerful in the education setting as well. I come from a major Research One universities with hundreds, in some cases, of buildings, as well as research facilities that have restricted access, et cetera. Having these things tied together is very important for operations like that. Also, back to just that governance, risk, and compliance posture as well can be helped with our systems in education. I encourage you to look at securepassage.com for more information on our school safety. It's right there in the navigation menu. Thank you, Andy.
Yep. We're a bit over. If you're still on, I'm going to answer one more question. I think it's a great question. It says, do you run proofs of concept? And so I'll take that one. Absolutely. We want to partner with these organizations, and we want to hear what their challenges are with physical security and with these different silos of disparate systems. And it doesn't even have to be physical security devices. If they have concerns with their OT environments, with their cyber environments, with their manufacturing, or any sort of unique problem that is keeping them up at night and affecting their business, we may be able to correlate data points and help them actually gain the insights that they need. So it is important for us to work closely with those individuals and, provide them with a proof of concept and show them how we can bring this multiple data points into one location and prove that concept for them, ultimately helping them with our tool set.
It's amazing. Thank you so much, Andy, and thank you for everyone for joining us today. We're grateful from Gary Fish and the Secure Passage team here in Kansas City, but also coast to coast. We're in California, Florida, and a lot of points in between. We thank you for joining us in the Truman Physical Detection and Response webinar today. I'd like to give a special shout out to our research and development team, as well as our engineering team, for putting together a wonderful platform and a great demo today for us as well. Andy, many thanks to you, to Bryce Carr, Kelly, and others back at HQ. Thank you very much for all your hard work on this, and we're really glad that you joined us today. Have a great day and be well.